Basketball at the Summer Olympics has been a sport for men consistently since 1936. Prior to its inclusion as a medal sport, basketball was held as a demonstration event in 1904. Women's basketball has been played in the Summer Olympics since its first appearance in 1976. The United States is by far the most successful country in Olympic basketball. United States men's teams won 14 of 17 tournaments they participated in, including 7 successive titles from 1936 to 1968. United States women's teams won 7 titles out of 9 participations, including 5 in a row from 1996 to 2012. Argentina is the only nation that still exists, besides the United States, to have won either the men's or women's tournament, with the Soviet Union, Yugoslavia and the unified team having also won the tournament. History. Basketball was invented by Canadian James Naismith in Springfield, Massachusetts, in 1891. Within a few decades, the new game became popular throughout the United States as an indoor sport. The popularity spread overseas and the International Basketball Federation was organized in 1932 in Geneva, Switzerland. Early American dominance, thanks in part to the effort of Fog Allen. The first Olympic basketball tournament was organized in the 1936 Summer Olympics at Berlin on outdoor tennis courts. Dr. Naismith presented the medals to the top 3 teams. According to the Olympic rules of the time, all of the competitors were amateurs. The tournament was held indoors for the first time in 1948. The American team proved its dominance, winning the first 7 Olympic tournaments until 1968 without losing a single game, while the Americans were barred from sending a team that contained players from the Professional National Basketball Association. They instead sent in college players. Teams from other countries sent in the best players, as the players were classified as amateur by FIBA, by earning allowances instead of wages. Munich. And after, the United States' winning streak ended in 1972, when the Soviet Union beat them in the gold medal game in highly controversial circumstances. The Americans refused to receive the silver medals, and they have been kept in IOC possession ever since. The Americans reclaimed the gold medal in 1976, with Yugoslavia, which had beaten the Soviet Union in the semi-final, runner-up for the second time. In 1980, with the Americans' absence due to the boycott, Yugoslavia became the 3rd team to win the title after beating the Soviets anew in the semi-finals and Italy in the final. The United States regained the title in 1984, beating Spain in the final, with the Soviets boycotting this time. The Soviets won the gold medal for the second time in 1988, after beating the Americans for the second time in the semi-final, and the Yugoslavs in the gold medal game. Professional era. In 1989, through the leadership of President Borislav Stankovic, FIBA approved the rule that allowed NBA players to compete in international tournaments, including the Olympics. In the next Olympics in 1992, the Dream Team won the gold medal with an average winning margin of 44 points, and without calling a timeout. By this time, the Soviet Union and Yugoslavia no longer existed, but the successes continued to be among the leading forces. 2 newly independent countries, Croatia and Lithuania, won the silver and bronze medals respectively. The United States repeated its victory in 1996 and 2000, but its performance was not as successful as in 1992. since active NBA players have been allowed to compete in the Summer Olympics. The 1996 Games in Atlanta is the only instance where the Olympic host city also had a home NBA team, the Hawks. Yugoslavia was the runner-up in Atlanta, and France in Sydney, with Lithuania winning bronze again on both occasions. The renewed dominance of the United States was interrupted in 2004 when the Americans barely made it to the semi-final after losing to Puerto Rico and Lithuania in the preliminaries. Argentina defeated them in the semi-finals, on the way to a gold medal finish where they beat Italy in the final and became the fourth team to win the Olympic title. The Americans regrouped in 2008, beating world champions Spain in an intense gold medal game, with the Argentinians beating the Lithuanians in the bronze medal game. The Americans and the Spaniards met again in the 2012 gold medal game, with the Americans again winning, although with the closest winning margin for the Americans. The first women's tournament was in 1976. The Soviet Union won against 5 other teams. The next 2 tournaments followed the 6-team round-robin format, with the Soviet defending the title in 1980, and the United States winning in 1984 against the South Koreans amidst the Soviet-led boycott. In 1988, the tournament expanded into 8 teams, with the Americans beating Yugoslavia in the gold medal game. In 1992, after the demise of the USSR, the unified team won against China in the gold medal game. At 1996, the tournament settled into its current 12-team format. The United States has won all of the tournaments since then, winning 40 consecutive games. Venues. All venues were indoor stadiums except for the 1936 tournament, which was held outdoors on tennis courts. Berlin 1936, Reichssportfeld, Berlin. London 1948, Haringey Arena, Haringey. Helsinki 1952, Tennis Palace and Mesuhali 2, both in Helsinki. Melbourne 1956, Royal Exhibition Building, Melbourne. Rome 1960, Sports Arena and Sports Palace, Rome. Tokyo 1964, Yoyogi National Gymnasium, Tokyo. Mexico City in 1968, Palacio de los Deportes, Mexico City. Munich 1972, Basketball Hall, Munich. Montreal 1976, Etienne Desmartiu Center and the Montreal Forum, Montreal. Moscow 1980, CSCA Sports Palace and Olympijski Stadium, Moscow. Los Angeles 1984, The Forum, Inglewood. Seoul 1988, Jamsil Arena, Seoul. Barcelona 1992, Pavelló Olímpic de Badalona, Badalona. Atlanta 1996, Forbes Arena and the Georgia Dome, Atlanta. Sydney 2000, the Dome and Sydney Superdome, Sydney. Athens 2004, Helliniko Indoor Arena and the Olympic Indoor Hall, Athens. Beijing 2008, Wuxong Indoor Stadium, Beijing. London 2012, Olympic Basketball Arena and the O2 Arena, London. Rio de Janeiro 2016, Carioca Arena 1 and Youth Arena, Rio de Janeiro. Tokyo 2020, Saitama Super Arena, Saitama. Note: the O2 Arena was known as the North Greenwich Arena during the Games due to Olympics regulations regarding corporate sponsorship of event sites. Qualifying. As of 2012, the qualifying process consists of 3 stages. 1 team qualifies as the reigning world champion. 7 teams for men and 5 for women qualify through the respective regional championships. 3 teams for men and 5 for women qualify through a world qualifying tournament, in which the best teams which did not qualify directly from each zone compete for the remaining berths. Additionally, the teams of the host nation qualify automatically. In 2020, the men's tournament will have a new qualification system. After the 2019 World Cup, 7 teams will qualify directly, the top 2 Europe and Americas teams, and the top team from Africa, Asia and Oceania. The next 16 best teams from the World Cup will join the 2 teams from each continent at the Olympic qualifiers. It will feature 4 groups of 6 teams, where the best team of each group will get the remaining sports at the Olympics. The continental championships will not be used for Olympic qualifying. Men's tournaments. Performance by confederation. This is a summary of the best performances of each confederation in each tournament. Participating nations notes NOC was not member of IOC. I part of Malaysia in 1964 women's tournaments. Performance by confederation. This is a summary of the best performances of each confederation in each tournament. Participating nations notes NOC was not member of IOC. F part of Yugoslavia from 1976 to 1988 medal table. Total countries ranked by total medals won. Soviet Union and Yugoslavia are defunct. No team carried over the records of the Soviet Union and Yugoslavia. Medal table. Soviet Union and Yugoslavia are defunct. No team carried over the records of the Soviet Union and Yugoslavia. Medal table. Women win-loss records. Men's tournament. Women's tournament records. Note: the International Olympic Committee doesn't recognize records for basketball, although FIBA does. Note: the International Olympic Committee doesn't recognize records for basketball.